to the first session. So I'm going to go through two things today in this call. And one is about related to cloud and DevOps engineering. The other one is related to version control, as you can see. So I'm going to start with version control, and then I'm going to move on to cloud and engineering, which is specific to the roles that you want in the future. Okay. So before I start, does anyone know what the term version control means? What that even means?
Version control with Git.
Yeah.
Version the tools we use uh, with Git versions. So when you would like to see something active, you go Git version, for example, to see test it. If I right.
So effectively, not just referring to Git, but what is version control anyway? Just the definition of it. What does it mean?
To do with codes, manage the codes and
Good.
executing.
Yep. Managing code is one reason.
Yeah,
Why
to
do we
run the
need
code,
why do we need to manage the code? What's the purpose of that?
to run the code.
Being able to control it, control the
Yes.
system there.
Yep. Being able to control. Yep. So you need to understand this one idea or concept or skill. I should say skill actually. Every single tech company in the world, okay, every tech company or every company you can think of that has a tech department or IT department, yeah, Google, Netflix, Amazon, all these companies, they all use this one skill, which is version control. Yeah. If you cannot use it, and it doesn't matter what field you're in, it doesn't matter if you're in cybersecurity or software or cloud engineering or DevOps, you need to, if you can't use the skill, you cannot work
As
in
we know,
tech.
Git is a container, big repository. So you keep your projects all things there.
Yes. So Git, so I'll explain in a little while what's the difference between Git and GitHub. Okay? Right. So here's the thing. Most people learn about Git in the wrong way. They memorize like commands or like, and that's all they know about what Git is. Okay? Can you still hear me?
Yes,
Yep.
very clear.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. Like I said, most people just memorize commands. That's not what Git is. Okay? So before we even dive into Git, I want to explain to you why do we need to have version control? What's the purpose of it? Every tool, every application you've ever used needs some sort of tracking, right? You need to understand how to track it, or at least be able to know, if there was any updates with the app that you're building, correct? So the first
Yeah.
reason is to track the changes you've made to the code. Now, in your specific field, the one that you're getting into, you're not necessarily going to be building the applications because that's a different role. That's a software developer role. But you need to maintain the infrastructure for that application. So you do still need to understand like how code is tracked. Okay. The
Yeah.
next point is collaboration. So imagine this scenario, you're working in a team of like 10 other cloud engineers. Or if you join a big enough company, you might have teams across different countries. You might have a team that you'll be working with in, for example, the US or in Europe, right? So you have all these teams, you have a large scale application. How do you like make sure everyone's on the same page, everyone can see the same code? So that's another reason, collaboration. And the last reason is rollback. Now, this is very important. So regardless of whether you're making an infrastructure change or if you're making an actual code change, yeah, you need to understand how rollback works. So if there's a scenario where an application crashes or something major has happened to it, Yeah. If you do not have a previous working version, then you will not have something that the customers can immediately use, right? So by the
Yeah.
time you have,
Yes, you might have copy of the data in
yes,
different places.
exactly. Yeah. So that's another reason. And this is one of the biggest reasons because things will fail. Like at the end of the day, nothing will run smoothly all the time. Things will start breaking, and you need to remember that rollback is also very, very important. One second. Let me just let this in. Yeah. So you need to understand rollback is also extremely important and it's one of the biggest reasons. It's not the only one, but it's one of the biggest reasons. Okay. So Git, yeah. So I want you to stare at this image and just look at it for a minute and just tell me, anyone tell me what you understand from what the image shows, like the arrows and what it all means. Maybe some of you might already know, but just we're just maybe doing a quick revision on
Yeah,
this.
yeah. Branch when you begin your work. Right when you in the middle of project. Bull, no, bush. Bush when you finish. Merge when you integrate it.
Okay, good, good answer. Greg, do you have any other things to say on top?
Yeah, well, I see here on the right side, master repository, like it's
Yeah,
Repository, yes.
the
Repository
main.
where you keep your work. This is a container.
yes. Greg, what did you say?
Yeah, the right side, I would say, is the main repository, the main folder
Yeah,
where we can find our project, and then after we enter that, we can see the folders
yes.
with
So
projects. So
good,
from there, we pull the information.
good. Yeah. So master repository just means it's just one centralized folder. Remember I said earlier you might be working with a lot of developers or a lot of engineers. You need to have one central place that everyone can come back to. So that's called master. Sometimes it's
Yeah.
called main. Main, master mean the same thing. So if you hear main or master repository, they mean the same thing. It's just a preference of main or master, but they both mean the same thing. One central folder or directory. I want you to understand the keywords I'm saying and follow that. So directory, repository, folder all mean the same thing. Okay. In that main
All right.
folder, you have obviously different folders and files, etc. Yeah. Right. So you're pulling from that main uh, folder. Actually, let me show you a better image. This is a better image. Yeah. So you're pulling from that main folder. As you can see, this is the group of developers here. And then once you're done with your work, like Taser said, you push it back. You merge it back. So push and merge mean the same thing. Okay. Right.
Yeah.
So this is a much more detailed version of what these two steps are doing. So when you pull something, you're not allowed to just push straight away. When you pull something, you have something called a working folder. Now the working folder is what lives inside of your computer. So the folders in your computer is called the working folder, yeah? Which is different to the master folder or repository. So you
Yeah.
make your changes, you do your like, your updates, whatever file folder you want to update, etc. Yeah. Once you've finished, you do something called commit. Now, what's the purpose of commit? What's the reason?
Activating the what was done, like the changes.
Yeah, you're activating, but you're committing something before you actually, so there's something called a staging area. So the working directory is where you edit the files. Let's say you're doing some changes to the code. That's the working directory. When you commit, it goes to something called a stage area, staging. So it's one level before you push anything because you need a space to prepare for what you've done. You can't just push immediately. It's a very dangerous thing to do. If you push all your files as soon as you finish working on them, you might accidentally push the wrong files. You might accidentally push something that's gonna break, the code. You might accidentally, maybe you forgot to test it. Maybe this could be a lot of reasons, right? So the staging area is supposed to like eliminate that,
Test.
like, yeah, eliminate that issue of accidentally pushing some wrong thing or pushing something that will break everything. So that's the staging area. So you commit to a staging area. Once you are happy and everything, then you push to the master repository. Yeah. So
Yeah.
this is a bit
Uh,
more. This is a more detailed diagram of what that looks like. So remember, what was the working directory again? Can someone say what was that? What's the working
the
directory?
main folder.
On which side, the master repository or your local, like your computer folder?
I think I'd say local.
Local, good. Okay, so this is from your local machine. You know what you write on VS Code and the code that you do there? That's what we call working. Sometimes it's called local. It could be local working. They mean the same thing, yeah? Okay,
Yeah.
so you're working on your, code or whatever you're doing, whatever feature you're doing. Then you add it to the staging directory. You take a look at it, you check your changes again, you test it, you make sure everything's like clean, commented, all the good principles of coding, etc.
So this is the step where we can see if our changes work,
Yes,
the staging area.
good question. So you don't necessarily see if your changes are gonna work because you have to test it locally. You have to test it locally.
Um,
So if you're working on an application, you run the app locally, then once you're happy, then you stage it. So staging is almost like your proofreading. So you're just double checking the code. Okay, I've tested it,
um,
everything looks fine. Let me double check one more time. And you check everything, everything looks clean, good. Then what do? You commit. Once you're happy with it, you commit. Now you commit with a message. Okay, I think in the task, one of the tasks in the module 0, you were told one
yeah,
of the tasks was to commit, right? And you had to write a specific message. I'm sure you guys remember. When you
yeah,
commit, it's not
Yes.
it's not compulsory to write a message, but from a good practice point of view, from a like good practice or following you know following the good principles of coding, you need to write a message. It's not only good for you, but it's good for your team members as well. Because later on, if you I mean, 6 months later, if you decide to, oh, what did I do 6 months ago? I made this feature and you completely didn't write a message. You just left it empty or you didn't write a meaningful message. It's very hard for you to understand what you did at that time. Also, if
yeah.
you if you have any like errors or bugs to fix, or if the customer is not cannot access the app or something, and then you want to know what you did or what another developer did that made that change, yeah, how would you know without a good
Yes.
good message? So for cloud engineers, is very important because, like I said in the beginning, you're not necessarily going to be writing the code for the applications. You're going to be maintaining the infrastructure. So you're going to always be reading and reviewing other people's code. Now, it would be hard for you to know what that developer did if you have an issue, you know, fix and the code that they pushed, and there's no meaningful message. So committing a message is always important. And then once you're happy with the commit, you wrote a message, you push to the remote. Like remote is another keyword. It just basically means the master repository. So there's two areas. So there's a remote repository and local repository. Remote means like what's on GitHub, the master, yeah? Local,
Accessible for
obviously,
everyone.
yes, accessible to all the developers. Everyone can see that main repository. Local just means local. So there's a lot of keywords that mean the same thing. So just remember. Okay,
Yeah.
let's say for example, I'll give you a scenario. You become a cloud engineer, you get a job, and then you join a team. That team already has everything set up. They have a code, they have GitHub set up, they have, not just one repository, they have probably 15, 20 repositories. Yeah? You're not creating one from scratch like you did in module zero. So what do you do then? When you have something that already exists in GitHub, you do something called checkout, yeah? First you clone it, sorry. You clone the repository. Clone, everyone knows what that means. You just basically make a copy of that into your local
Yes.
repository. Once you clone it, you check out. You check out means you know how you check out, like you're taking you're checking out whatever feature or whatever branch you want to work on, and or you pull directly. So there's two things you can do. You could check out a specific branch. So let's say, there's a GitHub repository and you don't want the whole master report. You just want one feature and you want to work on it. You check out that feature. Or you pull the entire thing. Yeah? Git pull means you're pulling the entire thing. That's only if
Uh,
there's already a GitHub repository exists. If there's nothing that exists, then you can't pull it from nothing, right? You have to first create it, then do that step. Okay?
but the Git pull, if there are uh, a few repositories, yeah.
Yeah,
If you tap the Git pull, it pulls like every repository, or
that's
is
a
a
good
specific
question.
one?
Each repository is separate. It's individual. So if you pull from one repository, you have to open another Git bash and then pull from the other one. You can't pull once and everything will come on the same, because each repository is separate. It lives in its own space in GitHub, right?
So we have to type
You
the
work with it
specific
according
name.
to the project you're working on.
Yes,
You not
exactly. Yeah, based on the project that you're working on, you pull whatever repository that project is based on. Do you understand? So it's not necessarily pulling everything and you'll get everything from GitHub. You'll have to specifically pick the repository that you want to pull, then you pull that repository.
Yeah.
Branches, that's what I'll focus on now.
branch is the first stage.
Okay, so what do you mean by that? Can you explain what it means?
Br-
What do you mean by first stage?
Testify first.
Okay.
Testing. After you write. After you push. When
Yep.
you finish your work and
Yes.
merge it.
Okay, but where are you merging? That's the question I want to ask. Are you merging to the master or are you merging somewhere else? Somewhere else?
Master or cloud, I'm not sure.
No, you're not merging to master. That's what I wanna uh that's what I want to let this student in and then I'll show you by a diagram. Let me allow the student. Okay, left. Okay. Right. Let me use the space here. So you have a master repository, right? Master, yeah?
Yeah.
Can everyone agree? We have a master repository.
Yeah.
Right. That master repository, um, everyone shares that same repository, right? Everyone shares that same centralized folder that all the code, all the live code that you're gonna be using is all on there, right? But then what if you wanted to build on a specific feature? Let's say you had 10 members in your team. Each one of you are working on different things. You're working on 10 different things. You're not going to all push to the same master branch, are you? Why is that
No,
issue if you
different ones.
why is that issue if you all pull to the same one? Let's say each one is like,
And then get mixed up. So
Get mixed
Gonna be
up. Okay.
confusing for developers.
Okay. Is there another reason why it's a bad practice for everyone to push to the same master at the same time?
It's gonna load longer or something, you know?
Yeah, that's another good point.
It
But
might crash or
it
something.
could introduce errors, right? It could be like if everyone's pushing to the same thing at the same time, then when you get to merge everything together, there could be a lot of issues, right? So that's what
Maybe it
the
is a cloud.
okay, yeah.
Cloud is safe.
Not necessarily the cloud. There's another reason.
It might be false, yeah. Oh,
Yeah. Any other reason?
At last, may be integrated. I don't know where.
So when you're merging it, it's going to be an issue, right? When you're merging it, it's going to be issue because if whose version should I trust basically? If I have 10 different like features that I'm working on and everyone has the same like master branch copy, yeah, whose version does gets merged? Gonna be difficult, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so that's what branches fixes. That's the problem branches fix. So every single person has works on a separate branch. So you work on a branch, another your colleague works on another branch, so on and so forth. Yeah. Once you all, you all work on a branch and you all test your own branches. You all, make sure you do your testing, everything, you check your code, you commit everything. Once you all finish, then you make something called a pull request. Pull request. That basically means is a area where your code gets checked. If anything is breaking, it would be on that one base, yeah. And then also there's a review section. So in that pull request, you check if if from other developers your code if it's good enough to go in. And then, at the same time, you know exactly what feature you're working on. The other problem is if everyone pushes to the same master at the same time, how do I know who's worked on what? I have to go and check the code individually, right? I have to go to the code and then check their changes, right? Whereas if I had a branch and I knew the name of the branch, I would know, okay, he's worked on that. You understand?
Yeah, yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, from every branch there has to be a meaningful message, probably as well.
Yes, from
So
every
you
branch.
know, yeah,
Not necessarily a message, a meaningful name. So the branch name has to be meaningful. So if I have a name, I just said, um, if I'm working on a button, for example, and I just said updating, or updating. Actually, no. Let's say if I'm working on an image and I want to update the image, I just say the feature name would be, or the branch name would be updating image. That's it. Understand?
yeah,
So making sure the name is meaningful also is important. Yeah. Um, I wanted to touch upon one more thing before I move on. So there's a difference between GitHub and Git. Okay. GitHub is the platform. GitHub is the main platform. Yeah. GitHub is where you put all your projects on there so other people can see it. Not just other people, your team members. Yeah, that's where everyone collaborates. So when you all created your GitHub accounts, it's supposed to be a place where everyone else can see your like all the projects that you've done. Now, you might not make every repository public. So you might make some repositories private. So that means not everyone can see. You have to invite people to join your private repository. Yeah. So when you join a team as a cloud engineer later, you will be told, here's a repository, and you'll be given a private invitation. So you'll go to that link and then join that way. Git is the thing that you use to actually control GitHub. Git is the tool, GitHub is the platform, yeah? Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
The GitHub is one, there's other platforms as well. Like for example, GitLab is another platform, Bitbucket is another one. Yeah. So there's quite a lot of other forms. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Does that make sense? Yeah.
Okay. Is the audio okay for everyone?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Is it too low or
Good.
too loud?
Good, good, good.
It's fine. Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so let's go into cloud specifically, yeah? Cloud engineering. Right. So what I want you guys to understand by the end of today is to understand what you're getting yourself into. You need to understand what you need to know how cloud works um, very well. So I've drawn this diagram over here. Now I want you to take a look at this for like a few minutes, and I want each person to tell me what the what that means. Can someone mute themselves? I think I can hear myself in the back.
Client, architect, uh, what? Middle work, cloud and engineers and
Other
DevOps.
engineers, yeah. DevOps, yeah. So you all know what client means. Client, I don't mean in terms of computer. I mean client as in like customer. I should say customer actually. Customer, yeah. So client here means customer. So when I say
Yeah.
customer, so I mean like a business customer, not like a random person on the street. So imagine you have a business here, and then you want to host your application. You have a business, you have a company, you have like maybe 10 apps. You want to host it on the cloud, right? You'd go to a cloud provider, whether it's AWS, GCP, or for example, or Azure, yeah. And you say to them, I want to host my apps on your platform. The first person they speak to is someone called a solutions architect. You guys understand? You guys familiar with that term? You heard solutions architect before
Yeah,
somewhere?
yeah. Solution, yeah. Architect,
Yeah.
yeah.
So solutions
This is
architect, yeah. So this is the first person that deals with the direct client or customer that comes and asks about hosting their apps on the cloud. So the solutions architect, the reason why I put pound sign is here is because the role, solutions architect role, is the highest paid role in the entire cloud DevOps field. Why? Because it's the only role that is directly customer facing. You have to understand from a business point of view, yeah. If you're someone
is
who's dealing
junior
with
junior engineer here. Cloud solution architect is a junior engineer.
no, those are two separate roles. Junior engineer and solutions architect is two separate roles. So let me explain. Let me explain first. So as an architect, yeah, you're responsible to make sure um, you take care of the needs of the client or customer, right? Does that make sense?
Yes, yes. You
So
are at front desk.
yeah, so you're directly customer facing, and whenever you're customer facing, you're more like valuable to the company, right? So if you want to become a solutions architect, you have to make sure that you know every single service of that platform inside and out. Yeah, everything starts here. Yeah, on the left, right. The customer also could be called end user. So remember, customer, client, end user, they all mean the same thing, yeah? So the architect, okay? So imagine a client says to you, I'll give you like real life scenario at what the architect actually really does, yeah? So if they say to you, we need an app like Uber, for example, what kind of questions will an architect ask? Can anyone tell me? Everyone knows Uber, right? Everyone knows what Uber is.
Yeah,
Uber, yeah, this is
the
an
features
application
they
for
want.
taxi.
Yeah, so one by one. Let's start with Greg first, one by one, yeah? Greg, give me one question that you would ask if you were an architect. If I said, I want to build an app like Uber, said that.
I would ask for the logo they want for how the app to, the how they want the app to look. I mean, the color and
Remember, I'm saying
the name,
you need
the
to put
name as well.
yourself, wait, you need to put yourself in the mind of in terms of cloud, not in terms of, what the app will look like. Like, think about the infrastructure, not the actual app, how it works. They already built the app, yeah? Remember, they
Also, the app
already,
is already built.
yeah, they
Uh,
already built. Sorry, I need to clarify. The app is already built. The question I should be asking is not we need an app. I meant to say we need to host the app, an app like Uber on the cloud. That's what I meant to say. So if I said that
Yeah,
question to you, what would you say? What would you ask me?
uh, the location where they want to be
Good.
hosted application.
Yep. Where do they want the host to, where do they want the app to be hosted? Yep. Good, thank you. Tezo, you wanna say another question that you would ask if you were a solutions architect?
Uh, Also, there's capacity, isn't it?
Capacity, okay, good. In terms of what? What are we talking about?
The how many customers he will
Good,
deal with?
good. How many users, roughly? 1,000 or 10 million? Yeah? You need to know how many users, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you, Ted. Mohammed?
yeah, it's you need to know the the skills. For example, um, how you will register the data
Good.
and who is doing the job and touching the person who's touching the job.
Yeah,
Uh, what skills is it about food? Is it about pharmacy? Is it like this is you said it's Uber, but like um, Uber
good.
is a taxi. So you register. You need the form of what they do.
Yeah,
Their like accept their full details, but like they need a car, they need insurance, they need all of the data they need. For example, the driver and the taxi car, their details, they both have
yes.
to be registered perfectly. So
Okay, I think what
so
you're
far,
saying is what type of user, because Uber, you could say Uber also handles
food
their
delivery.
food delivery, or it could be for, because when I say to you
Fast
what type
passenger.
of, yeah, you could be a like direct customer, so customer to customer, that's what we say. Is it so is it customer to customer, or is it business to customer? Yeah. So if it's for like direct like customers, it will be food, tea, whatever. Or if it's for businesses, it will be the other things, right? That's a good question.
How about, sorry, how about business to business?
Yeah, business to business as well, B2B, business to customer, business to business. So this is important for you to know. Why? Because you need to know what type of users you're dealing with. If you're gonna take care of the infrastructure for all of them, you need to know who you're dealing with, correct? Another point is what kind of budget do they have? to if I'm saying to you I want to host something, obviously you're gonna host indefinitely, right? You don't want to host on the cloud and like take it down after 1 year, right? You want to host it and then scale it, correct? That's the logical thing to do if you are a business that wants to grow. So what's your budget over the course of a year? Yeah. Remember here, are you doing any coding? As you think about the role itself, are you doing any coding? Are you
No.
are you building anything? No, you're actually you're building the architecture of it, yeah? So it's like the same way I think about like you're building a house. You know, you have architects for a house. They build like the floor plan. They tell you, okay, the toilet is going to be in this side of the house, you know, and they separate the rooms accordingly based on, you know, the design, whether it should have like a garage or not, whether it should have like a front, you know, like grass area, or if it's going to have a garden, you know, if it's going to have two bathrooms, one toilet. All of those decisions are from the architect. So another reason why it's very highly paid is because it's more important, because this is where everything starts, yeah? Everything starts here. The architect decides the shape of the entire system before anyone even writes, you know, code or builds anything. There's a lot more things I can get into, like what's the timeline, how do we handle payments, what type of database. I can ask so many more questions, but you get the idea, yeah?
How how
Yeah.
about the the data storage? Is it going to be
Yes.
petabyte or terabyte?
Yes, exactly. That comes under data. So if I could ask like what type of storage, how much storage, what database, you know, all of those questions come on. So it could go, you know, you could ask a lot more, but you just need to remember the architect decides the you know, the shape of the entire or system. Yeah. You need to understand now, is this something, I think by the end of this program, what I expect you to do is like put yourself in the shoes of an architect. You, if it's something that you see yourself doing, if you kind of enjoy this, you know, if you enjoy dealing with customers directly, or would you prefer building? Yeah. Okay. Now let me point to this area. Okay. The cloud. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Why did I put in construction? Can anyone tell me why did I put construction there?
That's if assuming they're going to transfer from legacy system to the cloud.
Yes. Yeah. But what's that? What's construction got to do with cloud? Can anyone guess the correlation?
Construction, you use the tools BCU, RAMs, and all thing virtual thing you inject to the cloud.
Yes. So if I say construction, you know, co- when
You
if
need
you
servers which hold the data.
yes, good.
Also the cloud services, which one you choose, the
Yep.
Google one or Azure or Microsoft Azure or
Yep.
AWS.
Yes. So when I say construction, you know, everyone knows a construction worker, yeah? Well, what's the role of a construction worker?
Yeah.
To build.
Build
To build, yeah.
only. Good. Build only. Yeah. They have got nothing to do with like the requirements. How much storage does it have to be, and how many users? Who dealt with that already? The architect, right? Your job,
AWS,
Yep.
yeah.
Yes.
yeah, your job is to not worry about, okay, does this, what type of database? You just get told. Someone tells you, Mohammed, go build this. These are the requirements. Make sure you build it by 3 months. That's it. You
Yeah.
just get told what to build, and that's it. Yeah, the same way the construction worker just goes to the location, builds it. Once he finishes his job, he goes to another location.
Yeah.
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 So
Yeah.
I think one of you mentioned the server. So set up server. So what type of server is it going to be? AWS, GCP, whatever it's
Yeah.
going to be. Yeah. Okay. Then you need to configure the network. configure the network. Yeah. So the firewalls, subnets, all of that. Yeah. Right. Then the databases come next. Can someone mute yourself, please? Databases. Yeah. What type of databases are going to be? Is it going to be relational, non-relational? Yeah.
So
Obviously, this
what's
will.
non-relational or relational?
Okay, so good question. So in terms of databases, there's two types of databases. So most people know SQL. Everyone's heard of SQL before?
Yes,
Yeah.
SQL.
Yeah,
Yes, of course.
SQL,
Data
yeah.
science.
Visual
SQ,
database.
yeah, SQL is it's a type of not relational database, meaning you have tables. So if I had a student table and if I had a teacher table, I'm the teacher, you're the student. There's a relationship between the student and the teacher. So one of the relationships could be a teacher could have many students, right? Could have a class of 10, 15, 20 students. And a student could have many teachers. Yeah. A student could have a maths teacher, science teacher, computer science teacher, etc. That's what we call relational. So the tables are like linked together via a relationship. Yeah. Non-relational means the tables are not related to each other. They're not linked to each other. And that's, for example, MongoDB, all these type of other database are non-relational. Again, you're not responsible to know. You just need to know from a high level point of view. You don't need to know deep like how it works and everything. You need to know high level point of view, what they are and the difference. Because if you get told, here's the requirement for this
Muhammad, are you sitting
client.
beside the television or what?
Sorry,
Muhammad has noise.
sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah, if you mute, that's fine. So if you so there are relational and non-relational database. If you get told to build an infrastructure around one or the other, you just need to know what they are. You don't necessarily need to build the data. Remember, everything is being built. Remember, as a cloud engineer, you don't need to do any of the building. You don't need to build the apps. You don't need to build the database. You don't need to build anything. Everything comes to you already pre-built. Does that make sense to everyone? You get
Yes.
told, go and build this, yeah, and that's it. As in the infrastructure, not
You just
necessarily.
set up. You just set up
Yes,
and create
yeah, exactly. So you
or
don't need to
command.
worry about what you need to build, and if there's anything missing, you have to go back to the team, yeah, or the person, the architect who told you the requirement. You need to go back to them and said there's a missing database, and whatever issue you might have, yeah. So the architect will say, we need a web server in London. Remember the location that you mentioned, Greg, earlier. We need a web server in London, a database that auto backs up, system that can handle, for example, 10,000 users at once. So the cloud engineers say, okay, I'm gonna go and I'll tell you also it has to be on AWS. So he goes to AWS, finds the services that he needs. If it's database, if it's a database, you go to the RDS. If it's a website, he'll go to EC2. He'll find a specific service, yeah, and it starts to connect them together, yeah. Okay, so he clicks the buttons, writes the code, the infrastructure, makes it real, and the best part for you for those of you who like to get into this role is that you don't need to have any coding background at all. Cloud engineer is one of the easiest uh, roles you can get into without being a developer. Remember now you understand, because the point of cloud engineer is everything comes to you prepared. You just need to set it up for on that platform. Yeah. You don't need to be, you don't need to be amazing at networking. You don't need to know how application code works. You don't need to know, you just need to know a little bit of Linux, um, networking to a foundational level, not advanced. You need to know the platform very well. That's the most important part. If you focus on AWS, you need to know AWS. If you focus on GCP, you need to know GCP. Does that make sense? Right.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Any questions? Everyone okay so far?
Yeah, it's all clear.
Good. Okay. Now the last part, DevOps. Can anyone tell me if I split those two words up, what they both mean individually? DevOps.
Development and
Development.
operations.
One person, please. Thank you.
Development and operations.
Thank you. Development operations. What does that mean individually? Development plus operations. Let me tell you a story, yeah. What used to happen before this role, because this role didn't exist maybe I think 15 years, 20 years ago. Only started to exist. You know what happened before? You had a developer and you had an operations team. You had a developer team and you had an operations team. No one was in the middle. Okay. The developer, let's say, let me just pick someone. Let's say Greg, you're the operations team, yeah? Um,
Yeah.
Tony, you're the developer. Tony basically builds the code and he comes to you, Greg, and he says, Greg, here's the code. I want you to push it to customers live, like, and everything is done. And you look at the code and you try to push it, but there's something breaking. Something's broken in the code. But you're not responsible for that, right? The operations team is not responsible for it. So you send it back to Tony, but then the communication is like you know, it takes probably days or weeks. Because you remember, like some people sometimes go on holiday, they might be off, you know, out of work hours, etc. A lot of things could happen. So the communication takes days, sometimes weeks, sometimes months. Yeah, because then how can you know how many times it would take for the issue to be fixed? It might not be the first time, it might be the second, third, fourth time. So Tony, if he fixes the code, he sends it back to you. You might have another issue, Greg. You send it back. And then he sends it back to you, you send it back. And it could be weeks of like constant. Um, you get the problem now. It's a very tedious way of working. So the industry came up. I don't know how it started, but the industry came up with this role, and there's someone that sits in the middle now. Every tech department has a DevOps person or people. Only make sure the developers code gets pushed to production, we call, or live, without any issues, and it's automated without any like sort of you know, constant back and forth communication. Okay, so so the developer pushes the code, and then the DevOps person basically takes that code and puts it in a pipeline. Yeah, he puts it in a pipeline, and then the code gets pushed up here. If anything breaks, it gets automatically sent back to the developer. So imagine this is the developer and this is the production, yeah, where customers see the code, yeah. So before it even reaches production, there's an automated pipeline here that gets sent that sends things back if anything fails. One of the tests could fail. For example, there might be a security vulnerability. Could be a lot of things, yeah. So DevOps engineer or the DevOps guy is responsible for maintaining the pipeline. Now, you might think, oh, why do we need one person to maintain that pipeline? And why do we need that person to maintain a pipeline that's automated? You might be thinking, because if something's automated, surely it could work by itself, right? Why do we
Yeah,
need a
kind of. Yeah.
DevOps? Why do we need a DevOps person then? Can anyone answer that question? If I said it's automated, it works automatically. Why do we need a DevOps guy?
I think it's to fix patches.
Okay, good. That's one reason. Any other reason?
Well, the automatic system might fail as well. So
The
Yeah.
who makes things automated is a developer. Is when to go AI to
Final check. Final check. I think.
not
Okay.
final check. He check and push it to the AI.
No, they're
So
all
AI
good.
knows a
All of them are good reasons. All of them are good reasons. But Taser, finish off what you were saying.
Developer makes things and push it to AI. AI do repetitive work there.
Yes, that's correct. That's correct, but I'm looking for something else. Okay, maybe I'll give you. Let me give you a clue. If I imagine you joined, let's say you joined Google, for example. I'm just saying, Google has their own YouTube, right? Google has YouTube. Can anyone tell me how many platforms can you open YouTube on?
Like you can open from Facebook.
No,
You can
YouTube,
open
only YouTube, only the app YouTube. So you can open it on your mobile phone. What else?
on your
iPad.
laptop. On
On your laptop, you can open it. You can download the app on a smart TV, right? You can go on it
yes,
on consoles. You have PlayStation or Xbox. You can go on it from your tablet. So these are different
Smart
platforms, right?
devices.
Yeah. So platform, when I say platform, I mean devices. So if you're a DevOps
devices.
engineer, is every platform going to have the same pipeline, the same DevOps setup? Yes or no?
Yeah,
No,
of course.
Yes? Did someone say yes?
I said no.
Like you mean pipeline route
Okay, this is
to
going a bit deeper now.
link.
So I'm saying to you, are we going to have the same pipeline for every platform?
I think should be different, no?
It should be different. Why? Why should it be different?
Because one is, for example, for a mobile phone, let's say
Yep.
the code is different. For a
Thank you.
TV, maybe it's different.
Thank you. Different languages. So you might
Yeah,
have if it's on your computer, you're going to be using probably different dependencies. So JavaScript is could be the language or
yeah,
whatever.
they have to be different. Yeah,
Yeah. And then if it's on mobile, how do you know the difference between mobile? It could be Android, which uses Kotlin, which is a different language, and then iOS uses its own language, Swift. So different
exactly.
customers
Yeah,
use different devices, right? Different devices means different dependencies. So if I build one pipeline with the same dependencies, is that not going to be an issue? It's going to be an issue, right?
it's gonna be an issue. Yeah,
So I have to separate them, and to manage that is why you need a DevOps engineer. You need a DevOps engineer to make sure like all those platforms have like their pipelines are managed properly. Yeah. Obviously the automation is there. Automation is supposed to be there because when no one's going to be working 24/7, right? You want something to like stay live even during midnight or 24/7, right? That's
yeah.
why the automation is there. You automate the pipeline to make sure even at 3 a.m. in the morning, if something happens, the pipeline handles it. But to manage it, as in if something breaks, or how do you manage all the dependencies, the different languages, different like platforms, because they all work differently. Tablets work different to TVs, consoles work different. So you need to have that knowledge as a DevOps engineer, like how these platforms
Mainly
work.
application works with Java script.
Yeah, so JavaScript is the for websites. If you're working on PCs or Macs, yeah. Okay, so DevOps, if you're looking for, if this is something that interests you, it's a very good role. But I will say one thing, um, recently in the industry, they started to move away from DevOps engineers. Remember, yeah, listen to this point carefully. Because you're at the last stage of the whole, like, you're not at the beginning, you're at the last stage. As a DevOps engineer, you also need to know about the other areas. So you need to be familiar with the, cloud platforms. You need to be familiar with the role of architect. Yeah. Because it comes to you. So it comes down to you, meaning you need to know everything before it. Does that make sense to everyone? So as a DevOps engineer, Your role is to do all of the, managing the pipelines, etc., automation, yeah. But you also need to know how cloud platforms work, and you need to know all these different points as well that the architect will deal with. You don't have to necessarily deal with them or build anything because it's already been built, but you need to know about them. So recently in the industry, they've started to move away from like DevOps roles only, and they've like combined DevOps and cloud together. So you'll see some roles that are called platform engineer.
Okay.
It's called
Excuse me.
Yep.
If someone is a certified solutions architect as well as a DevOps engineer certified, can he function as a platform engineer?
Yes, that's the whole point because you have knowledge of both. Yeah. If someone is certified for both of them, not only can they get into each one individually, but they can also get into both of them. So what does it prove? So if you're a solutions architect certified, you go for that certification, whether it's associate or professional, it doesn't matter. You prove that you can design systems. You prove that you understand which services to use and when. You can make decisions about cost, security, scalability. That's the architect mindset, yeah? DevOps,
Yeah,
however, you can prove that you can automate deployment end to end. When I say end to end, I mean from the moment the code is
from the start
is
to finish.
from start to finish, yeah? If you have both, it's a lot more powerful. But obviously, as you get into your career and progress, you'll probably lean more to one because
Okay,
it's very hard, for you to master one area if you do both all the time. So in the beginning, yes, you can do both, and you'll realize later on you might be like, okay, I've done solutions architect for 5 years. I'm a little bit bored, or it doesn't interest me anymore. I want to go into DevOps. You still have that DevOps
okay,
knowledge, remember, because you did that certification before, so you can always get into it. Um,
okay.
so it's good to have both. I would say if you are trying to do both, don't aim for the professional ones. Aim for the associate ones, so at least you understand from a foundational point of view. Then later, maybe a few years into your career, then you can say, you know what, I want to focus on DevOps only, and I want to get the professional one. Or you could say, I want to stick to solution architect, I want to get the professional. Yeah?
Then another question, please.
Yes.
There is a concept in the industry now as a DevOps engineer.
Yeah.
Some organizations, enterprise are saying you need to be knowledgeable in AI as well.
Yes.
AI is very important. All this work done, agents force on AI.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so AI is important in every role, by the way. It doesn't matter if it's DevOps or cloud or yeah.
You
Why is
know,
it?
AI is sorry,
Yeah, go on.
AI
Yes,
part of this job as a architect or developer uh, is where the AI data putting into the AI starts. Is that right?
yes,
AI
So
help you with code. With all the work will be done very quickly.
yes,
so what for example, as a DevOps skill man, for example, you are like AI does not get a data unless it gets from DevOps or like any data it will present, it comes through as a DevOps. Is that right?
yes. So where does I just want to reiterate,
So
like,
we are learning the tool is that to
yes,
produce
But if
and,
you
and
want to deal with the AI, you must know the prompt engineering.
you have to. Yes, I was just about to say that. So AI, listen to me. First of all, AI is not going to replace any role in tech. A lot of people have that like misconception, or I don't know where they got that from, but they just hear it from places that AI. Most of you guys probably heard that, right? AI is going to replace this and that, right?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
But it's not going to replace tech roles, because as an engineer, you realize AI is only going to complement your role. Yeah, it's only going to make a role better, but it's never ever going to replace. And yes, a lot of companies are now pushing for the employers or anyone that's coming in to be good at AI, be AI proficient. Why? Because a lot of the systems they're trying to automate. AI is good for automation. So before, as a cloud engineer, can you mute yourself? Whoever's not muted. Thank you. So as a cloud engineer, yeah. Before you had to manually configure the servers, you had to actually write the scripting, you had to debug issues manually. But now you have AI that writes, a draft of the script. It can review code for you, it can fix code for you. You just have to like double check the code. It analyzes the logs and spots issues without you having to spend days to, do that. So a lot of companies now are using like Claude and GPT and GitHub Copilot, for example. It's supposed to make your role a lot more faster, not obsolete, okay? So a task that used to take a cloud engineer maybe 3 hours to do now takes about 20 minutes because of AI. But like Taser said, you need to be good at prompting. It's very, very important for you to be good at prompting. Prompting actually makes your role um,
What's the prompting?
prompting is basically being good at asking, writing
The
questions
command
to AI to give to AI.
questions. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you say, I have a bug to fix, here's the code, can you fix it? That's not really a good prompt, right? But if you tell it, okay, this is the specific bug, um, and you
Yes,
give a
yes.
lot more detail.
AI has hallucinations, so you must give him accurate orders,
Exactly.
prompts, what function he it will do to you, and
Also,
accuracy until accuracy reach near 100%.
exactly. And also another thing you have to remember is context as well. If you don't give AI good enough context, it might give you the wrong solution, and then it might make your code even worse. So it actually could be very dangerous. So if I said, um, for example, if I had an issue with a
Alexander.
page, if I had an issue with a website, and I specifically had an issue with a button on that website, yeah, just this scenario. And I said to AI, okay, I have a bug. Can you fix this website? But then there's other issues in the website that you didn't tell you didn't give it that issue. You only wanted it to be the button issue. But it basically went and looked for all the issues in the website, and it basically gave you solutions to all of them. So that's the example of a bad prompt. You need to be very clear, like, and if you don't, then it will start to hallucinate and give you wrong solutions. It'll give you really meaningful details, but then it will give you the wrong ones. Yeah. So last thing I wanted to go through is this area here. Just something you need to understand. So the core concept as a cloud engineer, before you even start anything, because cloud didn't exist a long time ago, decades ago. Companies did it differently. The way they did it is they built a data center which ran 24/7. Yeah. So if you had if there was if you had a retail, shop, or if you had a bank, if you were a bank, any business, you had to build your own data center. A data center is literally a building. It looks like this, like here, this building here. Can you see? You have to make sure you find a location that's not, in the city where people live. You have to be completely remote. Take care of it 24/7. All the stacks of computers and servers. Yeah. And you have to have security there. You know, uh, Cost of electricity, fans to keep the servers cool. Servers are expensive, by the way. They cost about like 5,000 to 20,000 per server. You need hundreds of them. Electricity, fans. Who maintains them? You need to have a team of IT engineers to come to the your location. If anything gets broken, they have to drive all the way to the location, you know? And there's something called a single point of failure. So this is the real like issue. If anything breaks in the data center, if there's a flood, fire, power cut, something, someone cuts the internet cable or something, the entire business gets shut. There was let me show you. There was a so uh, there was a data center that actually broke yeah,
I
2021.
think in the US.
Huh?
I mean, in the US.
No, it's not in the US, it's in France actually.
Okay.
So in 2021, there's an actual data, there's a story where basically an incident at 12:40 a.m. in the morning. There was a fire that happened in one of the data centers in France. And then that data center basically was managing, I think, over a million businesses. I don't remember the exact number. And all those businesses shut down. Imagine like your business, you wake up in the morning and you had your company that had one of your apps on this data center running, and you just open your
Your
phone and everything is gone.
your yeah.
Yeah. So do you see? Like, it's that's the issue. So the new way is now. I think Amazon in 2006 came, changed everything, and they said,
Yeah.
look, we have the data center. Why don't we rent it out to you? And it's like you have a landlord, like you have a landlord that you're renting from every month. They say to you, why don't you rent it out from us, and you only pay for what you use? Yeah. So if you have only, 100 customers, you only pay for that much storage. If you have a million customers, you pay for that. So it basically eliminates that whole like headache of the business going out, finding a data center. You literally rent it out. And and you might be thinking, what if Amazon's data center gets, she's on fire like that
So
data center? What happens?
if it happens, what happened? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
The the
yep.
the edge location will be automatically switched.
Good, good. So because they have hundreds of data centers, they it's fail safe, meaning if one data center like breaks or whatever it is, there's another location that it gets automatically uh, get into. The problem that this issue, the reason why this issue came is because that data center had no fail safe. There was no like backup data center. Once that data center is gone, is gone. Whereas with Amazon, they have like plans, they have procedures. If a data center fails, then there's, in that location, there's a few more that could support your apps, and your app will never crash. So they have that like guarantee that your apps are not going to crash on the data center. So there's a lot of providers. Google has its own one, Microsoft. Do you guys know Alibaba have their own ones as well?
Yes, Alibaba. Yes, yes,
Yeah,
of
Yeah,
course.
yeah.
when
Of
But they
course.
are small companies.
the
So
Alibaba has their own like cloud platform, and obviously a lot of people don't think Alibaba. They think of like e-commerce and that. They have their own cloud platform. There's quite a lot of
Yeah,
them,
Amazon is
but
the biggest.
yeah,
yes,
same as Amazon.
but the
Same as
Amazon
leading.
is the biggest one, gigantic.
Yeah, so the leading one is obviously Amazon. They own about 30, I think 30 something percent of the whole market share, meaning the chances of you joining a company and them using Amazon is very high. One of Amazon's services.
I've
That's
seen
why
Azure is also used.
Azure, yeah, Microsoft, Azure is getting also popular now. Out of
Yes,
the
very
two,
Azure
popular.
Azure in England is yeah, very popular.
yeah. So right now, Amazon's obviously the leading. Then next is Azure, then Google. But you always learn Amazon AWS, because if you learn one platform very well, you can transfer that knowledge across like other platforms very easy. Obviously, the services are going to be different, different names, different like and stuff. But it's very easy to transfer your
Concept
knowledge.
is the same.
Yeah. Notice this arrow going up from cloud to DevOps, yeah? Mm, Once you've basically, like, imagine you're a business, you rented all this cloud infrastructure. You now need to have someone to, automate it. So you can't really do DevOps without understanding cloud first. That's the whole point, yeah? And basically going to teach you both of them combined. So there's basically two sides of the same coin. Okay? Does that make sense for everyone?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Got it.
last point about that AI question. So AI also runs on the cloud, yeah? I think you need to remember. Every AI model that you use, whether it's Claude, GPT, Gemini, yeah? I think Claude runs on AWS. Gemini runs on obviously Google because it's owned by Google. Chat GPT runs on Microsoft Azure. So when you're learning cloud, this is why cloud is the like one of the most like say the best field of all of the fields. Why? Because you're basically learning what every app on there lives on. Every app lives on the cloud. Yeah, even AI apps. So. Mm, so that's the last point I wanted to make. So you're gonna be basically learning about, maybe I think towards week 6 or 7, I might introduce a little bit of Azure because it's getting more popular. I might introduce that as well, maybe one topic or something. But for now, we're just gonna focus on AWS. So that's it for this session. What I'm gonna go through on Tuesday is the first week of first week of this first week of this 8 week journey. The first week is going to be building simple deploy. We're going to basically deploy an app on AWS. So I'm going to go through a little bit of security groups, etc., internet gateway. So I'm going to go through that. So for those who haven't finished module 0, I'm going to give you until Tuesday to finish it, just because things some of you started a little bit later than others, so I want to give everyone a fair chance. And then but Tuesday, 100%, we're gonna start from the labs. This is just more like an introduction to everything. I wanted you to get like an idea of um, what we're gonna do for the rest of the 8 weeks. Also, what I want you to think about is which area you want to fit into. At the end of the day, this is your career. I think you need to remember. Don't just think where is the money, which one pays the most. They all pay very well. The reason why solutions architect pays more than others is because, like I told you, you're dealing with customers, and every business they value that more. If you're someone who's bringing in, if you're dealing with clients more, that means the clients are obviously going to pay, right? So if you do your job very well, you're going to get compensated very well. Plus, you do a lot of traveling, and you have to go to the client's location, etc. Doesn't mean that every other role is going to be less paid. You still get salaries for the rest of them, but you need to choose which one does your personality fit with the most. Do you feel like you're more analytical? Do you like to deal with customers? Do you want to just build? Do you like to code? Are you not really a fan of coding? All of that you need to think about, yeah, in the next
But
few
there is
weeks.
an exam. You must be certified first, isn't it?
You don't need to be certified. Okay, here's another point I want to make. Thank you for pointing that out. In this field, in cloud and DevOps, there is a push for certification. So there's two areas in the whole tech industry that companies require you to have certification. Can you mute yourself as I can hear myself? Whoever hasn't
Muhammad,
muted.
mute
Thank you.
your.
Okay, so there's two areas, cybersecurity and cloud. So if you join a company, some companies have in their entry requirements, you need to have a cloud, certification, whether it's a associate practitioner or whatever it is. But it does not mean that you have to have it to get a role. I want you to understand the difference, yeah? You don't have to you don't have to have a certification, but it's something that gives you more experience and it complements you. Now, here's the mistake I've seen a lot of students do in my years of doing this. They either get a certification but no projects, no practical like experience, or they get the practical experience and no certificate. What I encourage you to do, every single one of you, is think about as well, once you decide, okay, I want to get into architecture or DevOps, think about what like that certificate that you're going to do and plan accordingly at the end of this program. Once you get all the skills and you do all the projects, you get the practical hands-on knowledge, then you think about what that certificate that you want to do. So for example, I think in your if I if I sign into this, I think all of you should have this certs module in your dashboard. But if you go to at the top here, you get certs exams. Yeah, you can browse all of the
Yeah,
exams
all
here.
certificate.
Yes. So this is good for you to like understand, okay, I want to get into this. So if you wanted to be a cloud engineer, cloud practitioner, solutions architect, DevOps here. You understand? So and try to look through it, see, what's the pass mark, what modules do I need to know, what services do I need to know, etc. Try to think about it. And then there's also a practice quiz that you could do here once you get, obviously, when you're starting to practice for the exam, to help you prepare for the exam. If you need more mock questions, let me know. I can upload more for you. But you need to start thinking about this. But you don't necessarily need it to get the job, but I encourage you to get both. Get the experience, the practical like projects that you're doing, and then also get the certificate as well. Because you want to stand out from everyone else, right? At the end of the day, you're competing with like hundreds of other people, thousands of other people. Yeah? You want to stand out from the crowd. If an employer comes to you and says, okay, Mohammed, we like you, and but you're missing a certificate. You don't want that, right? So you'd rather be prepared and make sure you have that certificate ready in case the job that you want to do, or they ask for that. Yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Also, developer has a exam also or not?
Developer or DevOps? Which one?
What's the difference between DevOps and develop?
Developer is a normal like someone who writes the code for the application. DevOps is a developer operations. You're handling just the operations of that code, like how that code is managed. You're not necessarily writing the
This is
code.
the cloud, yeah? Sorry, the cloud engineer, yeah? DevOps.
Cloud engineer and DevOps are two different roles. Cloud, you're building the
Okay.
infrastructure. You're building the whole infrastructure on the platform. Then the DevOps engineer handles the day-to-day, like, when the developer pushes the code, the DevOps engineer basically handles how that code gets pushed. When, like I mentioned earlier, the pipeline, what's in the automation pipeline, how it gets automated, etc. All those details. That makes sense?
So, what is the name of this development in operation?
Yes,
What is it?
development operations. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I would like
It's
to
is
ask you.
it's the last one, but it has it got its own test or certificate to
Yes, own
qualify.
certificate. Yeah. Tony, you were
Yes.
saying something?
Yeah. Which role aligns with someone who has a fair understanding of business process?
Repeat that again. You said someone who
I
has.
mean, which role fits someone who has a good understanding of business process.
Okay, you tell me. Guess. Take a guess.
Architect.
Yeah, it's architect, but I only just got certified. I've not really had practical workings of it.
Yeah,
I only concentrated on DevOps.
that's okay. So if you have a good understanding of business requirements and business the business like yeah requirements, then solutions architect is the best option for you. But if you have DevOps experience, that's also good. So that means you just need to fill that gap in experience with solutions architect.
Okay.
Yeah, you just need to fill that gap. So you already have the business mindset and knowledge. You just need to fill that gap with some practical experience. I'll help you um, with that. You don't
Okay.
need to worry. But it's good if you have both sides. Try get the experience for architect and then see, okay, now I have the experience of DevOps and architect, which one do I like the most? Another thing I need to point out is you never know until you try. Listen to me,
Yeah.
everyone. You need to be a little bit more open-minded with right now this period. If you buy you can't say anything for sure right now because you just started. Let's say by like week 4 or 5, I would expect at least everyone to be a little bit more clear on what area they want to get into. In the middle of the program, you should be like, you know what, Anwar, I want to focus on solutions architect. Can I just like go, you know, um, go do that? You get it? Obviously, you will learn all the other areas, but you need to be open-minded until like in the middle of maybe week 4, week 5. Yeah,
What would be easier for me, like to start? Let's say, is it DevOps?
that's a good question. The easiest one, in my opinion, is the cloud engineering. The easiest.
All
Why?
right.
Because there's not a lot of coding. Because DevOps is a little bit difficult because you're directly dealing with it. So the DevOps and architect is on both sides, both ends, right? Does that make sense? So the DevOps, you're dealing with the developers, and developers are always like pushing code, always running code, right? So you have to always be alert and ready. Developer might push code every day or every other day. There's always releases that happen. Every week there's a release. There's a new version of the app. You have to like check the pipeline, make sure everything's okay. The architect always dealing with customers. Yeah, customers are always coming in. So both ends, like I feel like the cloud engineers sitting in the middle is like, the most relaxed out of all of them. All they do is just get the requirements, okay, build it, hand it off to the DevOps guys. So in terms of like the actual job, it's a lot more, it's not relaxed, that's not the right term to use because it is difficult, and you still have to like do a lot of work, but it's fairly relaxed compared to the others. Yeah, fairly easiest to go into because remember, everything is already built for you. The app, you don't need to worry about it. If anything goes wrong, you're not responsible for fixing it. You send it off to the relevant team, yeah? And then they get back to you, oh, we fixed it. Now you can put it on the infrastructure. Yeah?
Yeah,
You don't
this
need to
is what I'm
know
thinking.
you
Yeah.
don't need to know how to code as well. Coding is not a requirement. You just need to be very, very good at the platform. Like if you choose AWS, you need to be very good at the
Managing the platform, knowing
yes,
the features. Yeah.
managing the platform and knowing the services. So you need to know the
Yeah.
services very well. You can see here, you need to know EC2, S3, VPC, RD, RDS, etc. You need to know them very well though, to like very good standard. And then you can say, you
That's
know what,
only for AWS.
only AWS, yeah. Obviously, GCP will
Yeah,
have its
yeah.
own services. But like I said earlier, if you know one service very well, the others should be like very easy to to pick up.
So for containerization is Docker and Docker Compose container.
Yes.
If you go to LearnFi without signing in and go to DevOps, this on the page which saying master DevOps, master the DevOps toolkit. So for example, like CI and CD pipelines, Jenkins, GitHub.
Yeah.
So can you explain that how they are connected and related, and step by step, like going to be associate, professional, and then architect or like engineer, developer.
Yeah, so
How
you're referring to the actual technical, like the tech, like the stack of it, like Docker and Kubernetes and all these different like t
yeah.
stacks, right? So yeah, that will come later. I'll go into more detail later on the actual
So
what
now we
tool.
are only colored platforms now.
No, you will do
Like
both, but I'm saying that I haven't covered the stack yet. So cloud, I haven't covered the services. DevOps, I haven't covered the stack for that. I haven't covered Docker or anything like that. But that will come in later weeks. So if you go to all weeks, you'll learn the Docker and containerization in week 4. Yeah, yeah.
okay,
So you do a little
okay,
bit of cloud, then go back to DevOps. So you do CI/CD in week 5, Terraform back to cloud, week 6. Yeah. So you
okay.
will go back and forth, and you will learn each area
So they're
very com
all in the same task as a architect. It come across every job you're doing.
not as an
You might
architect. No,
need
no,
all
no,
of them.
not as an architect. Architect, you're not responsible for any of this. This is cloud and DevOps only. Architect is
It's after
different.
this. It's after.
Yes. Also,
Okay. So you meeting the customer. You dealing with the customer at this stage as a cloud, as doing these apps or these services. Is when you are meeting, or like you are you and the customer, and then to use these tools is in that stage when you are in this stage. But after that is after you will do architect, after
yes,
you've done all of these jobs like cloud platform, containerization, Kubernetes, CI/CD pipelines. This is when you and the customer meet. So first person touching the customer, like
yes,
as you said in the paper sheet you
yes.
were showing us. Yeah.
Perfect. Does anyone have any other questions?
Yes,
Wrap up.
development operation has exam or no?
Yes, they have exam. DevOps.
Yeah.
DevOps
Yeah. In
engineer.
the
Yes, there's a
certificates,
DevOps
if you
engineer.
go certificate exams, yeah.
Yeah, there isn't a DevOps engineer exam. I think this is
AWS, yeah.
yeah. So there's solutions architect, DevOps, cloud.
Is a professional one, professional stage.
There is Let me have a look for the DevOps associate. There is an associate
Yeah,
certified.
DevOps.
Yeah, actually there isn't an associate. There's only professional. Yeah, so there's only professional for DevOps.
Yeah, if you go to cert exams,
There is associate.
Sorry?
scroll down
There is associate for DevOps.
in the dashboard. If you go to cert exams, it shows all
Certified
certificates,
DevOps
then
engineer.
a cloud practitioner,
Yes.
entry level, and associate level, and then associate, which is operation administrator, associate architect, associate administrator, and then DevOps. So cloud practitioner is the one we are doing now, entry level, I think.
No, so
CLF.
this is the you guys can decide what specific one you'd want to do. First, you have to decide what role you want to get into, and then pick which certificate you need to prepare for that role. So there is a DevOps professional one. There is an associate one, which is why there's only a dev professional one here. Um, Also, exams, not the exams, the certificates are valid for 3 years. This is another thing with cloud engineering. Yeah. Once you get into the field, guys, you have to remember it's very, very like fast paced. A lot of things keep changing. And if you have a certificate, let's say you get a certificate, you join a company, they might ask you to renew that, like to do it again. They'll probably pay for you, for your certificate, but they will ask for you to because it expires after 3 years, or I think some are 2 years, I think, or let me check. They're all 3 years, I think. So when they
Yeah,
expire,
3 years.
you might be asked to do it again, and then because the services might change, you know. Can you mute yourself, whoever's not muted? So the services might change, for example, and there might be new technologies that come out, so you might be asked to do the exam again. But if you join a company, they'll most likely, very likely, to pay for you for the exam. But just in the beginning, you might have to pay for the exam yourself. Does that make sense?
Yes, but in case of asking us, it's up to us to choose which one is which. Like, for example, if you're doing, for example, other certificates which is not cloud or DevOps, like networking engineer.